Want to make a podcast? Spotify's got a platform that lets you make one super easily, then distribute it everywhere, and even earn money. We like that. All in one place for totally free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters, and here's how it works. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right from your cellular telephone or your computer, so no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today. Then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify and everywhere else, those other places that podcasts are heard.
Video podcasts are also available on Spotify, and when you want to take conversations with your fans to the next level, Q&As and polls are the best way to get them talking. With Spotify for Podcasters, you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. And best of all, it's totally free, zero catch. We've been using it ever since we started How Long Gone. And ever since I discovered Spotify for Podcasters, I feel like having the option of turning off the Q&As and the polls on the user dashboard has really helped boost my creativity and take it to another level. I highly recommend giving it a try. Download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started.
Okay, TJ, how are you, bro?
Oh, TJ, good. Well, actually, TJ, not good at all. I'm definitely rode hard and hung up wet after.
And you're saying, hold on, just to be clear, that's different than usual for you?
Oh, it is. It is. I mean, I'm usually pretty well rested, and I usually go to bed at a decent time. You know, I wake up early at like 5:30 or 6, but I also went to bed at like 10, so I get like my 7 hours, and that's good. But yesterday, I mean, all week long, I've been in New York, and I've been, you know, technically there on holiday. I was working a lot and hanging out with people, walking around. And
How long gone industries, you know, we don't take days off.
We don't take days off, much to the chagrin of my life partner and the chagrin of my brain and body. But
must be tough, loser. Some of us are built for this fucking shit. You know what I mean? I'm just dragging your big ass along with me.
I know. I am not. I'm built same. You and other people are built different. No. I mean, I am a hard worker now, and it's all good. But, you know, it's when we podcast this much all the time, there really is no, you're not, when you're on vacation, you know, I'm still working. Even if I'm not doing anything else but the podcast, I'm still working, you know, 30 hours a week, something like that. And 40 hours is a full-time job, right? And that's not counting our side ventures, you know, in F&B and luxury clothing.
We have an exploding contemporary brand, Gone by How Long Gone. We also obviously have the Mud Coffee Empire and the podcast, and not to mention the other. I mean, you know, it's a busy time, but I hate to bring it up, but you had some trouble in the friendly skies yesterday.
Why do you hate to bring it up, Chris? I don't feel like I got a lot of pain in your voice when you said that. It seemed like you were okay with bringing it up.
I mean, I was obviously being facetious, but I know, look, I've been in those situations many times, and it is absolutely torched.
Yeah.
And you have to just kind of take a deep breath and just find the humor.
If something could go wrong on a plane, I have been a part of that. Like, I mean, you obviously have been on a zillion planes, so you've experienced it as well, but, you know, not as much with like the late nights and the hangovers. Probably, I mean, you had some of that, but, you know, I had a lot more. Not to show off, but those are just the facts.
Yeah, I've found a couple baggies in my fifth pocket. You know what I mean? on a morning flight back to the Big Apple. But yeah, who's to say?
Spend a little quality time in the washroom. You know what I mean, brother?
In the lavatories are located at the front and the rear of the plane.
Yeah, and luckily you have no problem with the rules and restrictions of no vaping on the plane. But there is nothing that says no key bumps on the plane.
No key. I've only done a bump on an airplane one time. And it was on the way to Jamaica because
we call that turbulence, by the way.
Yeah. There's a little turbulence.
It's going to be a bumpy ride, is what you say.
I've told you that story about the frat boys that I was like, are these guys snorting something? Because I'd gone to the bathroom to do coke, and I'm like, wait a second, and these guys were snorting Xannies off the tray table.
And you're like, damn, I thought I was cool.
I was like, I'm literally a pussy compared to these frat boys who are drunk and trying to get the stewardesses to come party with them.
Yes.
But
so
anyway,
I went. I mean, there was a lot of problems. First of all, since we were working yesterday, I booked a later flight, so I was leaving JFK at 7 p.m., which means you have to take a car
rush hour
during New York rush hour traffic, like 6 p.m., 5 p.m., whatever.
That's a light hour, probably.
Nothing light about that hour. You could say it was a light 2 hours, but I had to do a thing where I dropped the key off in Brooklyn on the way there. So you have to like go to some like street corner, and I gave a key to my girlfriend's assistant, and then take the So it's a 2 hour. Like I left. My flight was at 7 p.m. and I left the house at like 4:30 or something like that. So
were you zooted?
I was not zooted at all. I was not zooted.
Had you had
I was
maybe,
zooted
had you
off
had
of
maybe
the
a
fine,
cold beer?
I was zooted off of iced coffee from Abrazo.
Yeah, bro. Look, Jason posted a pic of the double straw from Abrazo. Heads know what that means. And I was honestly that put me over the edge.
I was staying at friend of the show Andy Nauman, his crib, and he lives right down the street from there's a spot called Dallas Barbecue. It's a foodie destination. And I was telling
called Dallas. Don't act like Dallas Barbecue is a speakeasy. Okay.
Yeah, it's a tough table. It's a tough table. Obviously, I couldn't get in. But I'm like,
it's a disgusting shithole that I smell it on my run. It's worse than taking in cigarette smoke on mile 6.
And my girlfriend didn't know about it, even though she lived in New York in her 20s, like doing ecstasy before you go to work level of partying, like. And she was like, "What the fuck is this place?" And I was like, "Oh, this is a barbecue. This is an establishment parading as a barbecue restaurant.
It's an alcohol distribution center parading."
Yeah, I mean, it is a papas and beer. It is like there's just a picture on the wall of like, here are all the different drinks that you can get a Corona bottle upside down floating inside of it. Like every drink is served in a
Which
fish
drink
bowl.
do you want?
It's served in a small fish bowl, and then it's like, do you want a Pacifico overturned in it? Do you want a Corona? Like how many shots of Don Julio? Anyway, so I get in the car and I go over there, and by the time I finished all of my rounds.
Because TJ's been tapping in with the streets. Motherfuckers telling me I saw TJ here, I saw TJ there. Your big ass was fucking lollygagging all over.
I sure was. But the fare from Manhattan to LAX, to JFK, which is, 11 to 14 miles.
Uh-oh, he's about to get in his cheap TJ bag. Go ahead. What was the ticket?
No. I am cheap, yes, but
what was the ticket?
This is asinine.
What was the ticket, bitch?
$169.
Oh, that's light work, baby. That's light work. We all been there. Did your Apple Card get declined? Is that what happened?
No, I had enough in savings that I could transfer. But let me put it to you,
sir. Hold on. Let me open the Wells Fargo app before you do that. Hold on.
I
one
have
second,
to move
sir.
some liquidity around before we go ahead.
I'm a real estate guy. I'm not like a liquid guy. So if you could just give me 1 second, sir.
Do you accept holdings?
So
yeah. So the drive from the house to the airport, and then the drive back home from LAX to my house, it was a total of about $250.
Yeah, man.
You can buy, if you go in advance and you get a good deal, you can get a LAX to JFK round trip flight for $330.
Yeah, maybe if you're in somebody's suitcase on JetBlue. But yeah, I mean, come on.
No,
bro.
I've taken many flights where you're like, oh, like the LA to JFK flight is it's like $323 or something like that.
Yeah, no, you're right. There was a time.
So basically,
shout out to all my AirTran travelers. My heads know. Anyway, I'm sorry.
So for more or less, by the time it's all said and done, it's about the same cost of literally getting in the back of a Kia Sorento and driving, 11 miles.
Yeah, because we know light wallet TJ ain't even taking the Uber Black.
No. I was blacking in New York the whole time. You'll be proud that I did not go in a train, and I did not go to Brooklyn.
This podcast has made your life better. That's the damn truth. That's amazing to hear. Congratulations.
Thank you. But I mean, the system is fundamentally broken.
Yes, the system is broken.
Like I have driven from LA to Palm Springs, and it costs less than that.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
And that's over 100 miles.
Bro, Yayo and I Ubered from Philadelphia to New York at 1 a.m, and it was $350.
Right.
I mean, you know what I mean?
You
Like,
crossed
literally.
multiple state lines.
Yeah. I stopped at Wawa and had to buy the driver a sandwich to get him to do it. That's how crazy it was.
Yeah, so that part is bad. But then when I finally get to the airport and I get on the plane and I'm all good and everything is going well. I ran into...
You hit Shake Shack.
I did not hit Shake Shack. Don't worry. I did not buy any food at the airport. Another thing you'll be proud of. But I ran into a guy. There's a guy wearing a Gone hat.
Damn.
In the JFK terminal. And I walk up to him and I'm staring him down. And I'm like, what up, bro? And he's looking at me like, why is this guy coming over to me? Why? And like, he didn't... It all happened so fast. He didn't recognize me.
He didn't put it together.
He's just like, who is this goofy trying to talk to me? And I was like, nice hat, bro. And he's like, and then we had a nice talk and he was a cool guy. And
love that.
That was funny. And then a friend of mine, a DJ named Kingdom, was also on my flight. So there's a lot of good.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm a big Kingdom fan.
Kingdom
actually,
is great. And he actually, I talked to him. DJ. He said he went to school and he's old friends with Lily Marlotta, who was on the show.
Damn, really?
The Celebrity Book Club. Yeah.
God, small world. I love that. The Hot Long Gone universe is a spider web, a twisted one. That's amazing.
I get a great exit row seat upgrade. My long bird legs are outstretched. I got my headphones on. I have my How Long Gone Performance Nalgene that was filled full of filtered
with Dr. Pepper or water.
Full of
so you did
water,
go with water this time.
Full of water.
Good.
I'm watching the Downton Abbey film.
Jesus.
Just cleaning up some loose ends. I'm taking my second brain dead edible. Shout outs to my man Ed. And edible number 2, I was doing a stack. Edible number 2 is kicking in as an announcement comes over the speakers saying, is anybody on the plane a doctor, a nurse, whatever? Uh-oh. And I was like, okay. I mean, that's happened to me, I don't know, 30 times.
Yeah.
When I've been on planes and you're like, oh, I hope something's okay. And then, it just kind of fades away and it goes away. And then 5 minutes later, the same message, a little more urgency in the voice. And then...
Yo, somebody's dying. Really, though. What's
dead
good?
Ass, is anybody a doctor? And I was sitting next to this girl. Fuck, I gotta save more for when we're talking because I have a lot more to cover and we don't have time, but... We can
cliffhanger. How long gone?
We'll indulge our guests with the rest of the story as we get going. But before we get on and finish that, I was on the exit row, legs akimbo, dick and balls out. I'm man spreading all in row 41B, and there's nobody sitting next to me.
Damn, I can't even count that high. That's so far back. But go ahead.
There's nobody sitting next to me in an exit row seat, and I got all my shit. And I'm like, this is going to be fantastico. It's a late night flight. I'm going to arrive at, 9:30, 10 p.m. Maybe I'll fall asleep, whatever. And then a woman is eyeballing me, and she's like looking at me, and she's smiling at me. She's a few rows in front of me.
Uh-oh, is she trying to join the Mile High Club with Big Bird?
I thought she was eyeing me, but she was in fact eyeing the empty exit row seat next to me like a rotisserie chicken from Vaughan.
When they don't want the dick, they just want the leg room.
Want the leg room.
Damn.
And then they close up the doors, and I go to the flight attendant, and I'm like, oh, are you done? Is boarding complete? And he's like, yeah, boarding's complete. I'm like, oh, fuck. I got nobody sitting next to me. This is a dream. I felt like I was in Delta
That's
1.
a motion picture.
And then this fucking heifer
you're not,
comes
but
over.
I'm glad you felt like that.
This heifer comes over, and she plops down right next to me. But it's fine. I'm not worried about it. I'm like, still just happy to be here. I'm still grateful. I'm not going to let this get me down. And we've been talking a lot about eating on the plane.
Uh-oh.
This stinky bitch pulled out, I shit you not, and I took a photo of it. It is a plastic bag that is steaming with condensation. It's a hot bag.
Oh.
There's a hot plastic bag.
I'm nauseous.
Inside of this bag is a prepackaged, it's like a microwave TV dinner. It is a Yankee-style pot roast beef dinner. It is a hot, steamy
bro.
Yankee pot roast. And it's like
no, bro.
It's like a hockey puck full of some beef. in some
Jesus.
gravy, and there's like a little.
Let me say this, Jason. This is why you got to pony up for Delta One. This is exactly why this doesn't happen.
I know.
No one eats.
Well,
they bring Airwalk.
Chris, the story is just beginning.
Well, we have to save. This is a cliffhanger then for next week, but
Okay.
but we do have a
no. It's a cliffhanger for when our guest comes on. Don't worry.
Okay, we'll finish the story. We do have a guest today, Claire Mazur. You might know her as the co-creator of A Kind. She's also the co-creator and co-host of A Thing or Two, a great podcast and newsletter that you might have heard of or might subscribe to. And we have been friends for quite a long time. And she's also a big runner. That's my favorite quality in a person is what kind of exercise they do and how much money they make, of course. So she's also rich, I hope. So
we'll find out just how rich she is.
Yeah, we're gonna find out. Claire, hey, we need to know how rich you are, and also what's your mile time, if you don't mind us asking. She did sell her company to Bed Bath & Beyond, though, which is pretty lit.
Run into the bank as well.
Yeah, she run into the bank. She's a new mom, and she run into the bank. That's a lot going on, bro.
Okay, great. Well, let's tap.
Claire, we're talking about deep fried shrimp heads off rip from Servos. And we talked about this in the last episode because Jason, I had never seen that dish before. And years ago, Jason ordered it at a restaurant. And I was like, this is a twisted dish. He was complaining at Servos they don't have a sauce. So you're just hitting these heads raw.
They're very salted and you have to put the lemon juice on them.
Yeah, but I mean, I need a sauce. I
agree. Listen, nobody likes sauce more than me. I get it. Like a buttery paprika aioli with deep fried shrimp heads is what you want.
Well, what I did was I asked the server for a side of aioli, and he obliged, and that was the saving grace. But the shrimp head was okay.
I like your style. I would absolutely do that. But I thought it was fine without it.
Okay.
I'm not as much of a sauce guy. I'm an anti-mayo, a vocal anti-mayo.
Wow. Okay, one of those.
It's just it just feels like lard to me.
Lard is good.
Before you joined us, Claire, Jason flew back from New York and he had a tough time.
Wait, Jason, are you going to be secret the whole time?
Yes.
Yeah, he's hung over, his shirt's off. I don't know if you podcast, Claire, I don't know if you podcast with your shirt off, but we tend to do that pretty often over here.
I've never tried it. At some point I will.
Honestly, I'm a big podcast from bed guy, but I'm house sitting right now, so that feels inappropriate.
Yeah.
So anyway, Jason was regaling me with the story about...
So I was sitting... So basically, I'll catch you up quickly with the Cliff's Notes. I was, please, humor us if you don't mind. We were...
Absolutely.
I was flying back last night from New York. As you know, I was there, belly full of shrimp, and I had an exit row all to myself, and then after the plane took off, there's a girl a few rows in front of me who then switched and then plopped down right next to me, which is fine. I'll allow it. Okay. But then she began eating a meal on the plane that is not airplane approved. It's not a TSA approved meal.
Yeah, we have an ongoing discourse on this show about how disgusted I am by people that eat on planes.
Wow, okay.
And and the smell, I just really am very sensitive to scent.
But I love eating on a plane. It's a great time killer because that's the number one thing that I try to do on an airplane is kill time. But sure. But obviously there's rules and regulations, things that you should and shouldn't be eating on a plane just out of respect. Hot, stinky meals, things of that nature. You want to eat a cold sandwich and some chips. We'll do that all day, no problemo. But anyway, this person pulled out a TV dinner that was a Yankee-style pot roast beef dinner.
Wow.
Wrapped in plastic and still sweaty from the microwave. I don't know how she heated it up, but...
Bold.
So then she kind of systematically ate that the entire time. After about an hour, she ate an entire French dip sandwich with French fries. And then she had a ketchup packet out, and then she dressed each individual cold French fry with a dab of ketchup.
No.
And she stretched it out all the way to Denver.
That is...
Wow. It's like performance art.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to say that's above and beyond, because I have a story. I've told the story before about a kid pulling out a Ziploc bag full of cooked bacon that blew me the fuck away. And if you fly from New York to any other Jewish enclave, you will encounter the full bagel locks,
I've done
smear,
I've done it because
you've done it.
Here's why: because is it LaGuardia that it used to be the only good eating option was that they had Grand Central Oyster Bar, and you could get a bagel with lox and cream cheese, like decent lox.
Yeah.
And I have brought it on before, and now LaGuardia is done up all beautifully.
There's a juice press. There is a juice
press.
There's
a juice press. They also have an H&H bagels with like a decent offering. Yeah.
Only at LaGuardia.
And they have decent lox.
The new LaGuardia, I'm impressed, to be honest.
There's like orchids in the bathroom. It's outrageous.
What?
It's really
that's nice.
It's really luxe.
That's nice.
It's really nice.
And unnecessary.
I'll wrap the story up, and we can get into talking to you. But
I'm loving this.
Over Denver, there was an announcement that came over the PA saying, asking, is anybody a doctor or a nurse? And which we've all been on an airplane where you hear that, right? Mm-hmm. And I've heard it 1,000 times, and it happens. And then they kept asking again, over and over again, with like an increased frequency of kind of urgency in the tone of the voice. And then the heifer sitting next to me was like, I'm a veterinarian, actually. But
oh no,
and I technically could probably assist this medical emergency, or the second that I say that offer my services, I will lose my veterinarian license. So she like legally could not let somebody know that.
So she just said this to you in confidence.
She just said this to me, just saying like, I wish I could help. It's a bummer that I can't do shit about this, but like I will, I will lose. It's like part of the, the bro code of being a veterinarian, I guess.
I didn't know. I assumed that in an emergency all bets are off, but I guess that's not. I think she was probably like she had some.
Thanks a lot, Biden.
Exactly. She had probably a bag full of Biscoff or something that she had to finish, and she didn't want to get her hands dirty with death.
I kind of have a whole cookie thing going right now, and I'd like to kind of keep that going. But literally a half an hour later, they made an announcement saying we are going to land this plane in Denver.
Whoa!
And we all had to take and mind you, this is at 11 p.m. So we had to land in windy, turbulent Denver. And then the person gets off the plane. They're like, as soon as we land, all these EMT people with wheelchairs come out. And everyone's freaking out like, oh my God, what's going on? And you think it's going to be like an old person had a heart attack or whatever. And it is a teenage girl who is on a wheelchair, completely coherent and conscious, crying and apologizing to everybody. I mean, I don't know what was wrong with her. Hopefully she's fine. But I was like, this is why we had to stop. Like, this is not a life or death thing.
No, my guess is I think she OD'd on edibles. I think she literally, I think she had a panic attack. I really do.
I think so too. But when you have a panic attack on a Delta flight, we're not stopping, bro. Like here,
we're not stopping.
Here's some extra Fever Tree seltzer. I'll put a cold compress on your fucking forehead and all the Biscoff.
And you gotta take deep breaths.
Down. I will put SpongeBob on the TV, whatever you need to calm down. But we are not going to turn this plane around.
We're not landing this. We're not landing this plane. I agree with that. I mean.
But yeah, I got home.
Jason.
I basically got home at 2 a.m. and woke up at 6 a.m. So that's why my Zoom camera is not turned on.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I understand.
You don't want to see him like this. I mean,
You saw me at the wonderful Chervos, right? I was showered and all that stuff.
You looked great then, and that's how I will always remember you, regardless of what I see in the future.
Nice. Yeah.
Thank you, Claire.
Remember him like this.
Yeah.
But now that you're a mother,
I am.
You have to bring snacks everywhere, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I do. But I did before because I'm one of those people who at the drop of a dime, all of a sudden I'm fine. And then I'm hungry and then I cannot think. I become incredibly mean. And it's like, I immediately need to get food. I get hangry.
Yeah.
Like my blood sugar drops and it's all over for me.
That's so interesting because I'm the opposite of that.
And you're like, I need a kale chip or else I'm going to fucking scream at somebody.
Do not talk to me before I've had my fucking kale chips.
I don't know. It's almonds for me. I'll like, you know how you'll put on a winter coat that you haven't worn in 6 months and you find like a $20 bill in the pocket? I always just find loose almonds that I just...
I don't like where the store's going.
This sounds like it. You sound like you're in the pockets of big almonds. This sounds like
got
that
Blue Diamond Spawn
ad.
Con. Yep.
Yeah,
The good,
Blue
the
Diamond.
good thing about those Blue
Yeah.
Diamond almonds is you can leave them in a coat pocket for 6 months, let winter come and go, and they're still delightfully crisp and nutritious. That happened to me one time where I found a Baby Bell cheese in my pocket. Different story. That's one that you're going to want to try to avoid.
That's why the almond is the superior pocket snack.
I don't
for
care
sure.
how waxy that red seal is.
Yeah, it's not going to be. Unfortunately, though, once I had a sprouted almond, I could never go back to the cheap stuff, which is
I
kind
don't
of a
think I've
metaphor
had a
for my.
sprouted
Sprouted almonds
almond.
are so much better, but they are so expensive.
It's a joke how expensive they are, Claire. It's like laughable.
And Claire, almonds are already pretty expensive.
They're very expensive, and they consume a ton of water too.
All right,
to harvest.
all
So
right.
it's not a
Look,
great.
we're not-
We don't do that kind of podcast, Claire.
I know.
yeah, we're not that kind of.
You guys
You're like,
are
I know,
squarely
unfortunately.
body positivity, mental health advocacy. We've covered those two things so far already on
That's
this episode.
exactly-
We're not getting into
exactly.
the eco-conscious shit. That's outside of your lane.
Yeah, we're not talking about the social economic pathways of big almond.
I mean,
Fuck that.
My carbon footprint is just something we can't publicly discuss
No,
at this stage.
absolutely
Look
not.
like Kevin Durant footprint.
Jason, what exactly is a sprouted almond? Because I actually don't know. I just know it tastes better and it costs more.
I think what they do is they take the almond and then maybe they like put it in some type of water or like a solution to where it begins to like germinate or like sprout yet again. And then I think at that point they might roast it and it creates like a different mouthfeel texture. It kind of gets
It's a different flavor,
Feels a little
I would say.
hollow.
Yeah.
And then the flavor is improved. It's just brightened up. It's the mouthfeel
Wow.
improves. It's just a more enjoyable almond to crunch down on.
I'm like ashamed that I haven't had one. I consider myself a snack expert. Is this an Erewhon special?
You can get them
No,
at
you can get
farmers
these-
markets. You can get them
Okay.
at Whole Foods.
You can get it at Whole Foods. You might be
Okay.
able to get it at Nuts. One of my favorite websites,
Nuts.com. Love nuts.com.
I honestly, I
You got any merch?
I don't have any merch. It's honestly a genius name,
It
and
is.
it's a great. They really have everything. It's a great service.
I love nuts.com. It's wonderful.
It's a great service.
I agree.
I would rush out to your local, Brooklyn Heights Whole Foods.
Okay.
I'm sure they have sprouted almonds.
I'm not a big Whole Foods person, but I think I'll find
What?
sprouted
Where do
almonds.
you fucking shop
Squeeze
then?
me?
Well, there's not really a Whole Foods by me, and I feel like I've got my Lincoln Market and my Food Garden Market, FGM, affectionately known as, and then we have Hearts nearby. So between those three, I'm like,
What are you talking? I don't even know what part of Brooklyn you're talking about.
How deep into Gowanus are you?
I'm in Bed-Stuy.
You're in Bed-Stuy. You park the do you park the Volvo SUV on the street, or do you guys keep that in a garage out there? I don't know how it works.
We have a car, but we park it in between a garage and on the street, whatever's convenient.
So the Subaru does stay covered sometimes. Part of the
we
year.
are honestly like the only non-Subaru on the block. I'll give you that.
Thank God.
We have a very old car that is sputtering along, and when that
But you seem to me like a person who would have a very chic car. Actually, I
It
would
is a
expect you to
chic
have
car.
a chic, like oldish, but not too old.
it's a 2000 Mercedes. It was my grandmother's, so I
Oh
came
yeah,
into
that's
it.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's A car. That's exactly.
Drop the VIN number, shorty.
That's like really. That's the perfect car to go to the grocery store in, because I imagine you don't use it that often. I would guess.
No, not that often, but also when you have a kid and you have a pandemic, you do drive a lot for that one year that you have a toddler and a pandemic combined.
Yeah, luckily we're over. Unfortunately, and I'm sure in Bed-Stuy masks are still on because that seems like one of those neighborhoods. You know what I'm saying?
The masks are still on in the supermarket, but nobody's wearing them on the street.
Well, yesterday I talked about this earlier, but I did walk into Whole Foods mask free in West Hollywood.
How'd it feel?
Oh my God, I felt liberated. It felt like I was leaving the womb. And
Did you get looks?
you know what? No, because there was. I said this. I think half the people were wearing them, half weren't.
Yeah.
He did get COVID though. He did get the COVID-19.
I did get COVID. I did catch COVID. So I've now met 3 people that have gotten COVID post vaccination.
Whoa.
Which is
Don't tell me
wild.
that. I don't want to know.
And none of them were Johnson & Johnson. Thank the Lord.
no. I mean, these are people that are probably pushing the line a little bit. These aren't the
In what way though? How do you push the line? Like go to
Going to cocaine parties.
Okay.
Is that what you want to hear,
Okay.
Claire? They're doing cocaine parties.
Okay. That's what you mean.
Yeah, I think I don't know exactly, but it is concerning. Because I think the idea is now that like, oh, you can still get it, you just won't die, is kind of what...
That's true.
Which I guess that's fine.
It's not, though, because then you read about all the lingering symptoms that all these people had that even though they were asymptomatic or had really mild cases.
Yeah.
You telling me this is going to seriously impact my behavior for the next couple months, I think.
No. Please don't let me. I want you to...
I mean, as a mother, you shouldn't be doing cocaine that much anyway.
It's true.
Yeah. Yeah,
but
you gotta watch that.
But she has a great point, Chris. I know many other podcasters who still like don't have a sense of taste. You know what I mean?
Many other podcasters,
or just like, well, it's a tight knit, supportive community.
Yeah. No, totally.
But yeah, there's still people who like who had COVID months ago who are like, yep, can't taste it.
Yeah, I don't want it. I'm not cool with like just getting it and not dying it. I don't want it at all.
You know what, Claire? That makes two of us. I don't really want it either, but I pushed it. I
like a gal who knows what she wants and isn't afraid to ask the universe for it.
Yeah, I don't want to die. That's the it's crazy. Call me crazy. I just don't want to die.
Not today, anyway. Mm-hmm.
Not today. I've got at least 20 more good years.
That's
in
right.
Me. 20 more.
Oh no.
Do you self-identify as a podcaster or? Because we have a tough time with this because I think it's embarrassing, but unfortunately it is part of my genetic makeup as well as professional career.
Mm-hmm.
I've never said I'm a podcaster until said it right then.
Hell yeah.
But I say I have a podcast.
Yeah, I do a podcast.
I have a podcast, but it's one of a lot of things I do. So it's not central to my identity. It's not core to my identity.
So you would go first with female founder.
Absolutely.
And then
girl boss. Girl boss is what I start with.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Capital G.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm friends with a lot of female founders. It's kind of my thing.
Yeah.
So I do understand the mental makeup and psyche of the female founder.
You've definitely got my number then.
Please explain that in depth. Speak on that, my brother. What are some of those common traits that all of your girl boss chicas all contain?
They're really fun to be around.
Always.
And they're extremely driven to the point of, I would say, bordering on psychosis.
Yeah.
In the best way. I think you have to be like that to start something from scratch that turns into like a full on like business with employees and the whole thing.
I think that's
true.
I'm
not cut out for it, unfortunately. I'm more of a one man show and I just drag TJ with me.
Who rescued who, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I'm not like that anymore. I was when I was like 26 or 27 and I did it and now I'm like I can never do it again and it feels so liberated not having to manage people.
So Of a Kind, you can explain to people what it was, but what was the timeline on it? Because I feel like you started it and you sold it, and I like that style.
Get in, get out.
Yeah.
We started, so Of a Kind, it was a website. We sold pieces from emerging designers like fashion, home, beauty, and told the backstory of all the designers whose pieces we sold. So it was very much content commerce early to that space. And we started it in 2010. We sold it in 2015 and then shut it down in end of 2019. Got out right before the pandemic.
But did you? Oh, I didn't realize you did it that long. So you sold it, and then was it the kind of deal where you still run it after you sell it?
Exactly.
5 years before sale? That's pretty good.
A soft acquisition.
A soft acquisition. It was. I feel great about
Acquire me, Papa. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It was good. I'm not ready to do it again anytime soon.
I think some people are addicted to it and just do it over and over. Especially these like tech bros. They just do this shit over and over and over and over.
Well, they also do it over again. They drive companies into the ground, and then the VCs are like, "Cool, what's your next thing? I'll fund it, sight unseen." Like, there's tons of that happening too. And I, for better or worse, was not running a company that VCs were dying to invest in, which I like in the grand scheme of things, I'm glad and relieved that wasn't the case. But I think that's part of what happened.
Unfortunately, VCs are obviously sniffing around the How Long Gone empire at a pretty serious clip.
I assumed as much.
I feel like a CBD brand, I mean, the amount of attention I've been getting from...
I just can't deal with these nerds, what I mean? I just really can't. But I find this whole, because obviously we follow it, I actually follow it weirdly closely.
Follow what? The VC culture?
No, not VC culture necessarily, but I think like CPG, like I think I follow like new brands, and I unfortunately a lot of that now is just like stuff.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Same.
And I just don't understand. Like even clients of mine will be like, "Oh, we got this X amount of money." I'm like, "You got for what? Like, how the fuck did you get that?" It doesn't. I just don't fully understand how it works, and I guess the way it works is people are just taking educated guesses with money. and if some pay off and some don't? Is it that simple?
I think it's a lot of that. I think it's also a lot of like, for lack of a better term, groupthink of VCs just being like that other VC who gets a lot of press invested in this, juicer.
Well, that's like that's how the music business works, right?
Yeah.
If a band gets hot, every label wants to sign it because it's like, well, I saw that they want it, so I have to want it. So it's the same kind of thinking.
But for a really long time too, it was that they never felt like profitability was
it didn't matter.
a goal. So it was just investing in like who can acquire a bunch of users for not a lot of money. And if you could do that, that was like worthwhile to invest in. But it's trend driven.
Yeah, no, and I love trends, as you know. I'm a big trend guy.
And I love customer acquisition costs.
Absolutely. Who doesn't?
Jason's more of a customer acquisition.
It's me hard as a fucking rock.
Yeah, it's kind of his kink. It's weird. I don't love it. I don't think his girlfriend loves it either. But I don't know. But I see this stuff because I follow this. There's like this newsletter I think it's called Things Testing.
Oh, thing testing. Yeah, I like thing testing.
I just look at they list new brands every week, and I'm like, this is fucking insane. There's 100 new things with It's all shit you don't need. It's only things that you don't need.
Well, also, so many of these people now you don't actually need to know how to make anything because there are third parties who you can go to and be like, I just want to make a pan. And they'll be like, cool, what color? We'll design it for you. Like, you do the branding, we'll make the thing. So it's so easy to get into the game now.
But that's the thing about it too that I think is interesting as we're probably a little older than a lot of these targets. No offense. Of course, you look great.
Thank you.
But I think that for someone like me, it's like, well, I just want to buy the real version of this.
Yeah.
Like cookware. I don't cook, but if I'm going to buy anything, I know to buy.
I want the all clad. I want the
I know what to buy. Why would I buy a millennial version when I know there's the original one that's been around for 50 years that's more chic and probably better? That's what I don't understand, because it's not like it's that cheap. It's not like this stuff is so cheap. That's not what the game is. The game is only about how it's skinned and what colors they use.
100%. I agree with you completely. And I think it's really weird because part of what's happening now is everything is a DTC brand because there isn't really a wholesale market anymore because the multi-brand retailers all died, and Of a Kind being one of them. And so everybody has to fashion themselves as a DTC brand, and they all feel like they have to follow the same formula which is exactly what you just described. It's just like packaged in that way.
It's truly confounding when I look at that list, and that to me is like a great resource because I'm just like, this is like, this is not a joke. I found hot sauce for coffee. Okay. And I literally made fun of it on Twitter. Within 20 minutes, the founder has found me, and now we have it, and we're going to try it.
Is it good? You haven't tried it yet.
Jason, you didn't try it.
I just got back from New York, so I haven't had a chance to try it. But it's waiting, ready to be slurped up. But yeah, it's not something that I look forward to trying, but I will definitely try it,
But the packaging, it's one of those things when you go to the website and you look at the packaging, you're like, this is like, I guess it's good. I don't even know if it's good anymore.
That stuff I'm not upset about. Like, we're living in a golden age of snacks and condiments, and I appreciate that. I'm grateful for it.
Okay. You have to disclose if you're an investor in Fly by Jane. So you need to
No,
disclose
but
that.
honestly, if I were a VC, Erica asked me the other day, she was like, if we could raise a fund, would you want to be an investor? And I was like, I thought really hard, and I was like, the thing is that I can't actually think of anything right now that I'd be excited to invest in except for Omsom. Do you guys know Omsom?
I've heard of it.
No.
It's Asian, they call them starters, which like wasn't a term I was familiar with, but it's like the sauces that you use to create Asian dishes. So they have like a larb one, they have a misoyaki one, they have
Damn, I'm a larb guy. This is piquing my interest.
The larb is outstanding. It is my favorite one. I make it all the time, and they just do an amazing job with branding and marketing, and the product's really good. And so they collaborate with chefs. So like the larb is a collaboration with the chef at Fish Cheeks, and they collaborate with Jeepney and Besu and all of these Asian restaurants, and they just do a really good job. It's like the one thing I've seen where I'd be like, I would invest in that. I believe in that. I think I would want to support that, but I don't see a lot where
Claire, we have a snap chilled coffee called Mud. So if you're interested in,
I'm off caffeine.
What?
I'm off caffeine.
Dear God.
I'm out of the caffeine game.
It's not a fucking game. It's a lifestyle. Okay. And that is
How long has
You're right.
it been since you're off the sauce?
How did it happen? When I was pregnant, I had really bad, you want to get into this sexy, I had really bad acid reflux. And then, so I transitioned to tea. And then my mom and I took like a mother-daughter trip to Paris, and the jet lag helped me like
In quarantine? Wow, interesting.
no, it was like 3 years ago. 2 years ago.
Yeah, it was two or 3 years ago, but it was a private plane.
Exactly.
Don't worry about it, Jason. It's a private plane.
Got it.
So the time change at that point, I was like, I actually don't need the caffeine. And tea is like fake caffeine anyways. It was so weak. I used to be like a huge caffeine addict. And then, so I was like, I'm just going to stop this. And then my migraines like really dissipated. So
Oh,
I was
really?
like, all right, I'm going to, because it's such a migraine trigger or a migraine solve. Like it can be both. And I was like, I think if I just get rid of it altogether, it's better. And I still get them, but I don't get them nearly as much as I used to.
Nothing better to combat a hangover than drinking more alcohol, you know?
Yep. That's right.
What a vicious cycle.
I unfortunately, coffee is all I have
that's
left. So if I also tea to me, it's kind of like soup. It just doesn't do much.
I
It's just
agree
like
with you completely.
It's hot water. It doesn't. I mean, even if it hasn't, like I drank some tea. I was at this retreat at Sea Ranch a couple weeks ago, and it was very tea. The vibe was very tea, guys.
Yep.
You know what I mean? We were sitting cross-legged drinking tea, and it tastes good, but I would just rather have water. I think.
I feel the same, which is why after transitioning to tea, I was like, let's just get rid of it altogether. And that European jet lag will cure you right away.
So
you're
what
up
do
in
you
the morning.
drink? So what are you sipping on then? Just
So lame.
coffee?
I drink decaf.
Just water.
I fully drink decaf.
Decaf.
And I even now I steam the oat milk because I miss like a fancy coffee drink so much. I know it's outrageous.
Claire, you're 75 years old. This is crazy.
I know it's totally absurd and ridiculous. But I for a while I just didn't do anything, and then I just really missed both the taste and the ritual of coffee.
The ritual, much like heroin, is nice. I completely agree.
But then I've found that there's this thing that is like universal for all decaf drinkers, where you live in fear of getting accidentally poisoned by a barista who mixes it up and then having a full blown panic attack, and you have to ground the Delta plane because you accidentally guzzled
Interesting
caffeine.
how you use the word
Yeah.
poisoned. Does that
Yeah.
feel a little extra strong? Or?
It feels a little strongly brewed. It's a dark roast for sure.
Yeah, she likes the Starbucks. She's a Pike Place chick.
That's
You know
right.
what I mean? It's a nice dark. I don't think that I just think, and that's the other, we've talked about this a lot on the show too, though, the boom of all these like non-alcoholic beverages.
Oh, yeah.
It seems to be only getting bigger. And I don't know if that means people are actually drinking less or if people are just down to drink all this other stuff as well.
It's a really good question, but I feel about non-alcoholic drinks the exact same way you feel about tea. It's like if I'm not going to be drinking, I just give me some seltzer water.
Yeah.
There's a couple of them that I really like, and it's like I like the taste, so it would be good mixed with something else, but they're not like I'm so excited.
Shout out to Gia.
Yeah, shout out to Gia, our friends at Gia. I just got the happy anniversary. It's been a year. I got a fresh bottle.
Oh my gosh,
But
congratulations.
the spritz is good. The spritz I really like, actually.
I have had the spritz. It was good.
Has it been a fucking year?
Yeah, it's been a year. But Jason said the same thing when we tried Gia.
Watching your kids grow up.
He was like, this would be a great mixer for alcohol.
That's how I feel about most of them. You know, the other one that's good is Proto. Have you had that one? Mm-mm. It's more like a wine almost.
So it's grape juice?
Yeah, basically. But it's not sweet. I don't like sweet things, which is the reason I don't like a lot of these like non-alcoholic
Is it
things.
sparkling? Is it like a natural wine vibe?
Yeah, I would say so. It's like a red wine, but not wine. It's not alcoholic.
What the fuck? It's called Proto?
Proto. There's another one called Non from one of the Noma chefs and somebody else. There's now what's happening is all these non-alcoholic wines. That's the next frontier.
Not my frontier.
You know who else does
Yeah.
it? Is Acid League. You know Acid League? They make those vinegars.
No.
They do a non-alcoholic wine too.
Acid League?
Acid League. It's a good name, right?
For like my gamer clan.
Yeah, that for a Marvel franchise, yeah, it's really good.
I like acids, and I complain a lot when there's not enough acid in my food, so I like the name.
What the fuck? What do you mean you like acids? What does that mean?
Like there's never enough lemon or vinegar in things. You
Chris is
know?
pretending
You know
like
what
he's
I'm
not
talking
familiar
about.
with the salt, fat, acid, heat philosophy.
That's
I'm
right.
sorry about my co-host.
You know I ride with my girl. You know I love Samin. That's my shorty right there. I love Samin.
Oh, it's just like the hi-hats on the drum kit, Chris. You gotta have the dynamic range, or else that fat and salt is going to be overpowering.
That's right.
Yeah, I try not to eat much fat or salt, I guess, when I'm really thinking about it. But I mean, Claire, it sounds like you're really sick in the kitchen. Am I wrong?
I wouldn't say that I just love snacks and food a lot. Like I love to eat, but I'm okay in the kitchen. I'm no them jeans.
What do you know about? None of us are, thank God. What do you know about the Quinn's gluten-free peanut butter pretzel?
Wow, I don't know about this. The people who make the popcorn?
No, different Quinn.
No, yeah,
No.
Quinn makes an assortment of different pretzel snacks.
Pretzel.
But they have one specifically that's a gluten-free peanut butter filled pretzel that is curiously crunchy, almost to the point where it's teeth-shatteringly crunchy. It's a very
Put your mouth guard in.
divisive pretzel. You either love it or you hate it. But if you're all
We've talked about it a lot on this show because I love them.
I love peanut butter pretzels. I'd be interested to try this.
Absolutely great snack because I'm a big snack daddy myself.
Okay.
I'm better at finding them.
Yeah.
Like I can go into a local market and I can see it and it's almost like entering the gates of heaven for me.
Yeah.
And I just, a lentil chip, no problem.
Oh, absolutely.
A gluten-free everything cracker, you're getting my cart.
Snackfluencer vibes.
The two snacks we talk about the most, Chica's, the greatest. Have you tried Chica's?
Yes, Erica brought me a bag because she was like, "These are incredible. They are really good.
They're incredible.
They are
Local
the tortilla
to
chips.
California.
Yeah.
Locally to California, I don't think you can get them in New York, or maybe you can.
She had read about them and she ordered them online. Yeah,
She had read about them. Yeah, she listened to it on How Long Gone. That's definitely where she heard about it. Yeah, come on.
Yeah.
Chris, it doesn't matter how she found out about it, just as long as she's supporting female-owned small businesses, and that's why I love Chica's.
yeah, that's right.
Chica's and Quinn's are probably the two that have affected this show the most.
Okay.
Like I have a bag of Chica's in the pantry at all times. I show up to Jason's with Chica's. That's the
Yep.
number one
Dripping
go-to.
in
Okay.
them. But the problem with that, or I guess not the problem, or what we love about it is like because it is a snack that's labeled as gluten-free, our brains are just like, that's all I need to know.
And it's
to
healthy.
begin wolfing this down.
Oh, absolutely.
And we choose not to look at the glaringly obvious fact that a peanut butter pretzel, no matter what the flour is, just has more calories than a fucking pint of Haagen-Dazs. And when
Absolutely.
we don't need to know that right now.
Are either both of you gluten free?
No.
No.
No. Yeah.
No.
I mean, everyone's
I-
intolerant to a certain extent, and unless you're living in like Italy and milling your own flour.
My favorite line of any podcast, with all due respect to you guys, is on the Poog podcast. You know Poog with Jacqueline Novak and Kathy.
I do know
I
Poog.
think it was the very first episode. They talk about how they're tragically don't have a gluten intolerance, and it just really summed up. I felt seen.
suck.
I felt seen by that. I
does.
don't have a gluten intolerance either, but
Yeah, a lot of people out there in the world think that they got dealt a raw deal or a tough hand. Becoming gluten free would be the answer to all of your life's problems.
Yeah.
You'd be able to get that 6-pack.
Yeah.
I'll try anything, to be honest.
Same.
But I don't eat. I try to avoid dairy. I don't eat a lot. I eat a little bit. I eat fish, but that's about as far as I
I try
go.
to avoid dairy alternatives, so we're kind of the same vibe,
Yeah.
same different sides of the coin.
You're not a big cheese guy, though. You're not Mr. Wisconsin.
I'm not Mr. Wisconsin, but I mean, who doesn't love cheese?
Yeah.
I was talking about with Alex, like a cheese plate. Like I was never into that.
Oh, I
That's
love
like
cheese.
a little. I don't know. It never really appealed to me. A nice hard. I mean, I like a nice Parmesan, like a hard
Yeah.
cheese. But
I
like
know
all
that
gooey shit.
I know I can't trust myself around it, so I won't have that stuff in the house like ice cream. Like if it's there, it's gonna get.
Oh yeah,
got.
I can't have ice cream.
But if you get like a wheel of a soft French brie and some high dollar rosemary crackers from one of your Gowanus local spots, like
you got to get the Jan's ones that are like rosemary with cranberries in them. You know what I'm talking about?
oh
Those
yeah,
are,
I know exactly
yeah.
what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But
I don't want your little Thanksgiving flavored cracker. Fuck.
Chris, just
So
like our
good.
salt, fat, acid, heat, sometimes you need a little bit of that sourness
Sweetness, yeah.
and yes, the sweet and the sour to combat the fattiness of the cheese.
I love when you mansplain crackers. I'm really loving that. Are you, Claire? Aren't you from Northern California?
No, I am from Wilmington, Delaware. Shout out DuPont.
Ukalakahaka.
And I have family.
What are you people talking about?
I grew up in Wilmington, Delaware. My mom's from LA, so we have a place out there, or my parents have a place out there. So I spend a lot of time in LA.
In LA. For some reason, I thought
Yeah.
you had a NorCal because I just went to Marin for the first time, which was a really Chris experience for me.
It was a Chris or a crisp experience.
I would say both.
It was both light jacket, and it had enough wealthy white women to appease his desires.
Okay, got it.
I think it's only wealthy white women, actually.
It is for sure.
By law.
I do have family in Oakland, so I spent time out there, but I don't know it well.
Where do your parents have a crib in LA?
In Brentwood and Crestwood Hills. It's the house my mom grew up in. Like my grandparents built it.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah, so my grandparents built it in like the 50s when there was this like they weren't part of it, but there was this attempt at like this utopian, I forget what it's called, like mutual something society. You can read about it. And all of these jazz musicians started building these houses out in Crestwood Hills where there weren't any. It didn't, like, shocker, it didn't work out, but it was this like
the Sea Ranch of Bel Air is kind of what it feels like.
That's right.
Did your was somebody a jazz musician?
No. They came in sort of as the utopia, I think, had sort of given up.
they got a good deal on the land when they were unloading it when Utopia didn't work out.
As a matter of fact, I hate jazz. I just love a good deal.
Why are you guys still in New York? What's keeping you there?
I love it here. I like every time I go to LA, I have that, like Chris and I have that conversation of like, would we ever live here? But I really love New York. I always have since I was a kid. My dad's from here, so I grew up coming here. So it always felt like a second home. And I just like, I don't know, just feels right.
Look, I love it. You know, Jason was there for the last week, and every time we talked, I was like, damn. I mean, I kept my apartment, but it's not the same.
Yep.
You know, I just don't feel as connected to the streets as I once did. And I miss it too, but I just can't. I need the fresh air. I need the lifestyle.
LA is incredible. Like every time I go there, I'm like, what am I doing? And at the same time, I just like, I like living in a place where people have to live their lives in public. Like I feel really isolated in some ways.
Great point.
You know, like
I love seeing hotties as well. And that's kind of why
being forced to have to see life.
Yeah, I do. And for people to have to like force to do things in public in a way where you're like, I don't know, I get lonely. Like I grew up in the suburbs. I found it so isolating and lonely.
I mean, this morning I'm house sitting for my friend in Pasadena, and I went on a run at 7 a.m. and there were so many people out, and I was like, damn, this is crazy.
Yeah.
Like I never experienced this in other parts of LA.
Yeah.
And people were like friendly and shit. I guess because they're all rich, but everybody was just nice, you know, and like it was funny to see life that early here, because you're right. It always feels very isolated and just like
Pasadena
quiet.
likes to run.
Is that a thing here?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, they like to run, whereas New York runs on Dunkin', Pasadena runs on running.
Are you still running, Claire?
Not like I used to be. Now also I have a Peloton, so I switch in between the spinning and the running, which has been a nice new development as part of my fitness routine. But I'm very committed to it. I'll never stop doing it. My Chris won't take the classes. He will get on the bike and do the scenic routes, and he refuses to do the spin class. And then he tells me the other days, he's like, I'm going to start doing more weight stuff. And I was like, oh, so you're going to do the classes? And he's like, no, on my own. I was like, what are you doing? I don't understand
then
it.
You're not using, I mean, what is most interesting to me, because I talked to my trainer in New York is like friends with some of the trainers, and he's like, bro, these guys are making bread. I'm
obsessed with all of it. I want to read every article about it.
We're trying to get Alex Toussaint on the podcast.
Oh, he's great.
For a little
he's
while.
one of I only have like 3 or 4 instructors that I'll take. I'll take him.
It's funny though. It's funny. The whole cult around it is funny, because I think that the other things that people like, the tonal, like the wall things, the mirror and shit, like they're pretty good too. Like I've tried those. They're pretty good. I mean, it's not the same as having a trainer in my opinion, because you can still just press pause or whatever. You know what I mean? It's not the same, but all of that stuff is getting really advanced. I mean, I still want to go to a gym because I like to leave the house and like I like the culture. But if you don't, like, you can buy one of those machines. I mean, they're really affordable at the end of the day compared to personal training.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, compared to personal training.
With my running, like running is a meditative thing for me. It's like purely for mental health. And I won't really push myself outside of if I'm training for something. Like when I train for the marathon, I obviously really push myself. But
did you do that with like Joe Holder and like that Nike crew?
Exactly. Yeah. And I did it the same. Joe trained me for it. And at the same time, shout out to Joe Holder. And then
my favorite scientist.
mine too. And we also ran this insane relay race together out in Oregon. So it was like a summer of really pushing myself running.
Wait, what kind of relay race? Hold on.
It was insane. It's called Hood to Coast. It's for like total running culture dorks, like people who are really into running culture. And it was really fun. You stay up all night in a van and
what hood, cuz? What hood?
Mount Hood.
Yeah, what hood?
Mount Hood.
Oh, yeah.
Got it.
I got people there. Yeah, I got people there.
So you run from the top of Mount Hood to the coast of Oregon, and you just like take I forget how many of us there were total, but I think each of us did 2 or 3 legs. You take turns. And the van like follows you. You sleep in the van. You're up all night. It's like a very like camp experience.
How hard is that?
It wasn't hard because there's so much adrenaline. The races are never for me the hard part. It's the training that's always hard. And then the race is like the celebration and you're running on adrenaline and it's like fun.
For me, it's the bleeding nipples.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, I did have to. Yeah, early quarantine, I was really logging miles. I did have to invest. Shout out to the family Nip Ease.
Oh, I don't know about Nippies.
Nippies is unfortunately what I had to use because I finished a run once and I looked down at my shirt and I was like, oh my God, this is fucked up.
It was bleeding?
I look like Gigi Allen.
Yeah, Gigi Allen. Yeah, full blood.
So it eased your nips.
It eased my nips, but
nice.
It works really great. They're like little stickers.
Okay.
They're like little stickers.
Okay.
But and then of course, because everyone has a fucking opinion, like, oh, those suck. You should try this. I'm like,
Right.
guys, I'm not brand loyal to nipple covers for running. I don't really give a shit.
Until that SpawnCon money comes through.
Well,
Are you going to run a marathon, Chris? Have you run a marathon?
no interest in any sort of competition.
Okay.
I don't know. I like it but
It's
I'm
not a
also
competition.
like a sixth.
Yeah, it's not. I don't think
you're
of it that
competing
way
with
at all.
With yourself.
Yeah.
It is.
Oh, got it.
I don't know about you, Claire. I'm a Virgo type A freak, and like I'm not like super competitive nut job, but like I would be disappointed in myself if I didn't reach whatever preconceived goal I had set for myself.
That's
to
fair.
the point where it's probably not healthy, and like
Yeah.
also I don't love what distance running does to the bod.
Agree with you on that. I don't think I'll ever do it again. And I didn't really intend to. I entered the lottery and didn't think I'd get in because a friend wanted to do it together. And then once I got in, I was like, well, I guess I got to do this.
Did you get super thin?
I did get super thin.
Is there such a thing as too sinewy?
I don't know.
Not for me, but Claire, go ahead.
Well, I mean, I don't know how much time we have to break down my body image issues, but
That is actually what this podcast is about.
Yeah.
That's actually what we talk
right.
about.
But in more of a toxic way?
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I get it.
definitely
I get it. No, I did lose weight. I mean, because you're just running so much. Like, I don't know how you keep up with the calories. Like, you're just burning so many calories.
Quins.
Yeah, exactly. But then I got pregnant right after, so it was, I don't know. I guess my like last hurrah.
That's actually pretty wild though, to go from like your thinnest from running a marathon to then pregnant.
Yeah.
Pregnant. That's a pretty wild.
It wasn't immediate,
shift.
but I guess I ran the marathon in November and then got pregnant in like March or April or something. And so yeah,
I mean,
it
that's
was
pretty quick.
It was pretty
and if
quick.
you're feeling
Pretty
underweight, nothing better than a pregnancy to get those lbs back up, right?
You get it.
That's a great point.
You get it.
Yeah, Jason goes to a steakhouse. You just get pregnant. It's it's different strokes for different folks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
One's a lifelong commitment. And one's a 24-hour thing. But whatever works.
I do think it's like one of those things where it fucks with your head a little bit, where you're like, why don't I look like that anymore? And it's like, because I'm not running 20 miles every Sunday, and that's okay.
But it's not.
Yeah, I just think it's not great for the body overall.
It's definitely. I was injured. The reason I never wanted to do it, and this came true, was that I couldn't run for months afterwards because my knees were so fucked up. Which is why I do like Peloton too, because I feel like I'm extending the lifetime of my running career by not running every single day.
What kind of shoes we got?
I was running with Nike for so long that I'm just now very like accustomed to Nike shoes. So I can't remember. It's like
That's right.
it's their Zoom Pegasus. I think it's like a version of that.
We're a Nike family
Yeah.
here.
I
So I'm
like
glad to hear
Nike.
that. What about Peloton? You got the Peloton shoes, or did you go off brand?
I got the Peloton shoes. Chris and I argued he wanted to not even do the shoes. He got me the Peloton as a gift, but was so resistant to everything about Peloton culture and was like, no, we're just going to do like this shoe.
There's a reason Chris and I are friends. That sounds like some shit I would do, where I would buy a gift and then make fun of you for using it. That's kind of it's a gift for me as well.
That's
you know
right.
what I mean?
You're
In
gonna
its
use
own way.
this gift, you fucking nerd.
Exactly.
Yeah, you dork. Why would you do
Exactly.
this? I think that so. You have to, but the shoes make a huge difference with cycling. Like,
Which
you have
I
to
said
have
to him. I said to him, he wanted to get the little toe baskets, which we also got. And then I secretly bought the shoes for him without telling him, because I was like, you're going to want these too. And we've quibbled about it quite a bit. He wants to not use them, but he uses them. It's fine.
No, they work.
They work.
The shoes make a big difference.
They make, and that
The
this
shoes
is
make
the
a big
thing about the Peloton in general. They make it so you can go harder. And the thing about the Peloton is you will get a really hard workout and get pushed in a way I'll never push myself when I'm running around Prospect Park. So I like that as like a,
Yeah.
Yeah, to just
that's what I mean though. That's the rise of like the group class or like the personal trainer culture.
Yeah.
Like I think even if it's on a Peloton, whatever, people feel like you have to. I do. I feel an immense pressure to perform if someone is telling me to.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm not the first person to say this. Peloton got it right. Like everything about like you didn't get as many of the points as you got the last time you did a 30-minute workout. Like it's a mind fuck, but it's good. It works.
It really does. Yeah. Jason doesn't work out, so he doesn't.
It's a great way to gamify your cum gutters. I do work out sometimes.
Jason does work out. He does Turkish get-ups in the yard.
Yeah.
I do Turkish get-ups, and then I do a nice steam room, cold shower. That's for the mental.
Yeah.
And for the pores.
Yeah, what's up? You guys got an infrared out there in Bed-Stuy yet?
Absolutely
or what's the next
not.
move?
I haven't actually tried the infrared yet. I want to at some point.
What?
But I know.
Kick that baby. Let the baby sleep in the Mercedes and put a sauna in there.
Right.
Trust me, you improve your quality of life quick.
You think
and
so?
You'll probably get your subscribers up as well once you start.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's off-brand of you not to infrared is what we're saying.
I agree with you on that.
It's amazing.
Okay.
It's amazing.
It's all about the mental health benefits?
Well, it also just feels good. Like
Okay.
when you leave, you feel light and like I just love to sweat.
I will say
personally.
it's 100% the type of thing I'd go do it at higher dose or whoever does it. And then I would come home and start researching and start pitching Chris on like, so we're just going to get rid of the shower and we're just going to put the sauna in.
Yeah, I guess it's a little different in New York where it's already
Jason's been looking into purchasing one for about a year, I
Okay.
feel like. And I don't know. How close are we, Jason? Has there been any movement?
Well, there's been moving in the wrong direction now that I have an Equinox membership again, and I can just go use that every single day. But it is a steam versus a infrared. But the thing that I love most about the infrared or a regular or any sauna is that it's the only time where you have this. It's like a true pod of solitude. You have no phone. You don't even have a book. I guess you could read in the infrared, but it's just you and your mind. So it's like it's forced meditation. It's literally your surroundings holding you down and making you only exist inside of your mind. And
that's how I feel about all exercise, which is another reason I get upset with how Chris uses the Peloton, because since he doesn't use the instructors, he will just look at his phone on the bike, which is insane to me. It's totally unhinged.
That's like when I see somebody. No offense if you do this. No offense if you do this. But when I see people jogging with a stroller or a
no, I don't
dog,
do that.
I'm like, you're not really running.
I've
like,
done it
you're
once
taking
or
your
twice.
child for a walk.
It's really hard. First of all, it's really
come
hard.
on.
We borrowed a jogging stroller. It's really hard.
It's
heavy.
Yeah, it's heavy. It's a different thing. No, my sister.
And
does
I
it.
agree.
Challenge
It's not
accepted.
meditative.
It's really hard when you put one of those Bane masks on and do sprints uphill. But that's the point, guys. 100-pound kettlebells are heavy, but that's why we like them.
Jason walks his dog every day and like smokes a cigarette and considers that to be his cardio.
But you wear bala
it's-
bangles, right?
Yeah, he does
So,
wear bala
yeah.
bangles. Good.
I don't
good call
consider
out.
that
Yeah.
to be my cardio. I consider it to be an essential part of my overall mind, body, spirit cardio, Chris.
I appreciate that.
because your dog has to take a shit and you have no choice, or
There's a lot of that, yeah.
Beca-
There's a lot. It takes
Okay,
a lot of
that-
slices to make a pizza, Chris. Let's just look at it that way.
I just the dog culture here is really starting to bother me.
Really?
Claire, it's really
Too many dogs.
Yeah,
Chris is puppy, anti-doggo.
I just it's just too much. It's just everywhere.
Same in New
Everybody's
York,
got a dog.
though. That's not an LA thing. That's a pandemic thing.
It is. There's so many. I saw some, like at least when I'm walking around in LA, the dog goes into the grass or on some dirt and it takes a shit and it's all good. But like, just to be walking around Soho and seeing like TikTokers scooping shit up off the sidewalk in front of the Rimova activation, you're like, this feels wrong. You
got a dog,
right
Claire?
now.
I don't have a dog, and I don't want one. But
Smart.
But my son Cam does really like dogs. So every time we hang out with someone who has a dog, we spend a couple days being like, maybe. But ultimately, I don't think we'll ever get one. At least
He'll grow out of it. If you're good parents, he'll grow out of it.
I hope so. What my mom did is she claimed to be allergic to all fur. And that's
Smart.
why we were
Smart.
and she still claims this. So that's
She was
another
fine
reason we
with
can't
the
have
chinchilla
one.
coat, though. Oddly enough.
Oddly enough, I had turtles is how I got around it.
What?
I had pet turtles and she
Damn.
had a fur coat. Yeah.
Sweetie, I'm allergic. I'm allergic.
Yeah.
No. It's fine. The coat's different, sweetie. It's different.
It's totally
expensive.
different.
So
Yeah.
it's not the same thing.
So,
That's
Claire,
right.
do you do a
That's right.
podcast too?
I do a podcast.
Yeah, so let's talk about your podcast quickly, just so, I mean, our guests had a wonderful time hearing you chat with us for the last hour, but what do you guys cover on your show? You know, I know that you guys do a lot of ad reads like we do, but there's also other stuff going on as well.
It's 90% ad reads and about 10%.
The dream.
I think, it is not dissimilar from this podcast in that it is like mostly just the success rests on the chemistry between myself and Erica, my co-host. And we talk about, I think, anything that interests us, not dissimilar from you guys, snacks.
The simple art of bullshit.
That's right. Snacks, design, fashion, fitness.
Jason, they're like a smarter, more successful version of us, is what it sounds like.
Yeah, that's what it sounds.
Sure.
So if we've been dubbed as a broadcast by the failing Vogue magazine, what would yours be dubbed as?
Wow, I don't know if I have a line. Pals podcast. I don't know. Our listeners are always like, it's like hanging out with friends. It's hanging out with friends. We talk a lot about snacks.
About us.
That's how I feel about your podcast when I listen to it. I like to have a couple of podcasts in the rotation that are just like, you're just hanging out. It doesn't really matter what you're talking about.
Turn the brain off.
Do your fans hate you? Because the fans hate me. Do they hate Claire or Erica?
Here's what I want to say. When I listen to your podcast, I get like slightly jealous and slightly resentful because our fans don't hate us and I don't want them to hate us. So I have to be like, Erica and I are really conscious of what we say. And then I'll email Erica afterwards and be like, hey, can you edit out that thing I said? Cause I don't want people to interpret it the wrong way. And yet still we will get shit from people because that's life. But then I listen to your podcast and I'm like, if I said half the shit that they said.
Yeah, and you're like, yeah, can you cut that part? And then Chris and I are like, I don't know, Hitler had some pretty good ideas.
Exactly.
We don't get a letter or anything.
Look, he was a good leader.
It's partially a gender thing. It's also partially just who Erica and I are, where we're like the good students and we want to be liked. And but I do listen to you guys and I'm just like, man, fuck that. Like somebody got mad at me for like getting upset about like a recipe with spices and stuff. It's just like, you never know what the thing is going to be. It's always something and it keeps me up at night. When
you realize that it's always going to happen, no matter how hard you try, then it's freeing to just release yourself of that. And, it just makes it more difficult. But the problem is when you're doing a podcast like yours and ours, it seems so easy to just, because it's just people talking. It's just like when you watch a shitty band play, you're like, I could do that or whatever it is. Yeah. It's that same thing, but it does take some skill on how to do that, how to say all these controversial things in a way that like, I wish you would challenge me on this, just, take it easy, lighten up, settle down. We're all having a laugh here and we're not disrespecting each other at the end of the day.
It's true.
And people need to hear that now more than ever.
I agree with you.
They really do.
Overall, I think our listeners like us, but they do call us on shit. And a lot of the times they're right and they have good points. But there's other times where I'm just like, listen, this podcast isn't for everybody. And I never claimed it was. And I don't know what to tell you, Draw your line somewhere.
I mean, I think we also get grouped in with shows that are a lot more extreme than ours.
I was going to say, like, next to Chapo Trap House, you guys look like fucking angels. Like, bring you home to mom.
Exactly. I've actually never listened to that podcast. Do they say bad stuff?
To be fair, I've never listened to it either.
That was a serious question.
I've never listened to it either. I'm a Red Scare girl, but I've never listened to Chapo Trap House.
I have listened to Red Scare. I've never listened to Chapo Trap House. But I feel the same about Red Scare where I'm like, if I said this, but I get it. Like, that's the brand, and they don't care.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's what you create. It's what you create. You build your own house. You know what I mean? Right. You got to live in it. It's like, all right, but you guys are. But I mean, you guys are pretty. I don't know. You guys are good at it.
Thank you.
Which is why you have a it's why you have a following. But I'm saying, like, it's obviously working. You know what I mean?
We've been doing it for a really long time too. We started it in I think 2014 or maybe beginning of 2015. So it's also we've been at it for a while. So but yeah, I think people seem to enjoy it. That's right.
But it is similar though. You guys are real friends, and that's why it works. And that's the other thing that you realize is like that's what people do care about. The guests are fun, but the chemistry of the host is what people actually care about.
Do you know what's been happening lately is that the listenership is lower on episodes where we have guests. which is
that's a real thing.
Yeah, that often happens to us.
The thing that I think you guys do a good job of is not interviewing the guests and just sort of inviting them into your conversations, which I think helps, because then it doesn't feel like, oh, now they're shifting gears or something.
Exactly. Nobody needs an interview, because if you're a fan, like if we have Matthew McConaughey on and we interview about him, and all of Matthew McConaughey's fans are going to listen and tune in, they already know all the stuff, like,
right,
you know, like where you grew up, blah blah blah, how'd you become an actor? Like, we just want to hear you talking. That's all it is. If people really want to know about Claire, where she went to school and blah blah blah, you can Wikipedia that shit or Google it or whatever. I want to know how Claire shoots the shit.
You know famousbirthdays.com?
Are you on it?
Oh, yeah. I bet you guys are, too. I just discovered that I was on it my last birthday because somebody emailed me, or like a friend texted and was like, I wasn't sure if it was today or tomorrow, but then I found out on famousbirthdays.com. And then this month, Courier Magazine did a whole profile on famousbirthdays.com, which is...
Oh, yes, I saw that. Yes.
I had no idea. It's like this like Gen Z hub and this insanely successful business, and now I'm sort of fascinated and obsessed with it.
I didn't realize that. Yes,
well,
I did.
That's fucked up. I just looked it up. Claire is on there. Chris and I are not on there. It shows all of your info, and you are listed as a blogger, and then you are ranked the 140,380th most popular person on Famous Birthdays. Not bad.
Not bad. Not bad at all.
Not bad.
Not bad at all.
Claire, thank you for joining us. Tell people where they can find you on the World Wide Web, where they can listen to the podcast, etc.
The podcast is called A Thing or Two. You know, you find it wherever you listen to podcasts. A Thing or Two HQ.com is the website, and I'm Claire Mazur on Instagram, and I don't really do other socials.
Smart. Stay off Twitter. That's where they kill you.
That's right.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for joining us, Claire.
Yeah.
And we will see you soon.
Rolling like a motherfucker, high as a kite, like a hooker in church. I'm swearing like a bitch, lit like a wick, sharp as a tick. Don't slip on the drip, 10K on the kicks. Metro on my beat, grew out from the east, so play if you want, get shot in the teeth. I cop new timepieces, $1 million at least. I cop them in threes, $1 million a piece. I'm jumping the list for the car that you wish. Deep dish rim that I bought from the fish. My arm in the pot, I'm cooking the dish. I'm working my move, I'm twisting my wrist. I fathered the style, gave you all the way, but I didn't get nothing for Father's Day. But I was the one serving all the J's. I was the one cooking all the yay. I fathered the style, gave you all the way, but I didn't get nothing for Father's Day. But I was the one serving all the J's.